Hello everyone, my name is Betty Omori and I'm here again with my yummy husband. Can you say hello? Okay, so today we're going to be talking briefly about effective communication between couples. We know that after talking with a couple of people, we realize that most of the issues that we have is not because people don't love each other, or they're not attracted to each other, but many times it's because they have poor communication skills. First of all, we want to talk about understanding that, you know, we can agree that our spouses, men and women, are different. I mean, if you wanted to have a spouse who thinks like you, then you must have married a woman, Abby, or a man should have married a man, and we know that that's not the case, right? So, men are logical in thinking, while women are, more emotional when they are airing their views. Right or wrong, then?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And we also know that men are actually hunters and while women are actually more nurturers. So it would be unfair to think that your spouse will get you 100%, in whatever you're actually trying to talk about. Won't you more like that?
Oh, yes. I mean, you know, men are not exactly very good at communicating. So sometimes, men have experiences outside, they come back home and, they just rather leave, what happened outside, and, enjoy the company of your family. But it's also good to also talk about those things that bother you as men, talk to your wife, explain to her the things that, you experience. I know it's very difficult, even for me. And sometimes I'll just tuck those things under the carpet and not talk about it because there's so much effort trying to recant what had already happened. So it's not just the nature of men.
Okay. All right. So another second point is to discuss with the aim of understanding your spouse's point of view. I'll give you an instance. A man tells his wife that he doesn't want her to go somewhere because he believes it's going to be very late for when she wants to come back. And even though what she wants to go for is actually something very, very important, she needs to be understanding of where he's coming from. So I think in that kind of, because I talk to a lot of women who say, my husband will not allow me to go to this place because he's like, that's the time. Do you know what time it is? Do you know what time it's going to be? Do you know how late it's going to be? I mean, you can testify to that. And you can understand really that he's coming from a point of view of concern and security, because I know men are more, by nature, they like to protect their families, right?
So let me just say this, from the biblical perspective, the man of the house is the covering of his house.
Yeah.
So the man's responsibility is first of all to look after his family. Now if his wife is going out late in the night, of course the man will be concerned about the fact that his wife is not going to be around and he's not there to protect her in case anything happens.
Exactly.
So generally men always want the wife not to go out late at night. But there are other ways to having that as well. Men could also accompany their wives to go there. I mean, I did that so many times in the past that
even till now.
Yes, even in our office at the point they were like, that I have a stake in that company because, whenever they have any team bonding exercise that would take, late into the day, I would, go with her. And not that I go with her because, I really enjoy hanging out with her colleagues. But, I would just go so that, at least I can be the one to drive her to and fro. And especially as she's not very good at knowing the roads around and, I just make out that time.
Then I make sure I'm safe.
Yes.
Yeah, and also it's also important to note as women, if your husband does not give you that suggestion, you can bring it up and say, honey, I understand exactly where you're coming from, and you're actually correct that, I have to be conscious of safety. Please, could you accompany me, or do you know of anybody that you can send along with me so that you're sure that I'm safe? That way, he gets to listen to you, better, right?
Absolutely.
Because he knows that you're actually listening to what he has to say. Okay, another point will be that you should also be willing to compromise, because I know that many times people discuss they discuss with their spouses and in their minds it's like, what I'm going to do is what I'm going to do. And guess what? Your character, the way you actually behave will actually show that you're really not listening. You're not willing to. You say you're listening, but you're not really listening. You're not listening with the right attitude. You're not willing to compromise, and that way you realize that you have to hear people like, a bit like, okay, whatever, okay, yes, I hear you, but they're not really hearing you, and it's whatever they want to do, and that can be very frustrating, right?
Absolutely. I mean, A few instances I've been caught red-handed doing that. Where they're talking and I'm like, especially when I'm probably reading something on my phone or something that's talking to me. Sometimes I just slip off. Not very good at multitasking.
Okay.
But yeah, it's important that we listen to what our spouses are saying. And then we're very, we're very concerned about the things that are bothering them and try as much as possible to accommodate in such instances.
Exactly. Another point will also be that you should listen, based on what we just said, to listen to what your spouse is saying that they're not saying verbally, because there's a lot of talk going on when your spouse is not actually saying anything. You might not be verbally saying I don't agree, but your attitude is showing, well, okay, you've said what you've said, but I really don't agree. So you need to be saying, oh, but you told me you can, because a lot of people have issues that's like, but you said I could go, and it's like, that's what you wanted to do. I didn't really want you to go, but he said, maybe he verbally said, okay, you can go, but was he really coming from the right place? So you have to be very sure that, look, even gesture wise, everything is saying, you guys are all saying the same thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, that speaks to communication at the end of the day.
Exactly.
The unsaid and the said and the unsaid. I mean, when we're growing up, our parents used to communicate to us, whether either verbally or non-verbally. That mean look that your parents always give you when you're doing the wrong thing outside. That's communication. So the same thing happens with spouses as well.
Exactly.
We need to, spouses need to communicate effectively to know when someone doesn't like something. Not every time a spouse will come out and say, look, don't do this.
Yeah. Okay, for the last point for today, I think it's also important that to know when exactly to bring up discussions, because I realize that some people really are not sensitive, and I think this is mostly for women, but men also have it. When you just blurt out, maybe your wife does something wrong, and then instantly you can see she's already in a down spirit, and you just tell her that this thing you're doing doesn't really, and she's already on in a very down place. Another thing for most women, I realize that sometimes you should know when to actually bring up, especially if you want to be heard. Except you're discussing not to be heard, then you can go ahead and talk about anything you want to talk about at any time. You'll just realize that it's a one-way communication. But if you want to be heard, you need to be sensitive to know the time. Look at his mood. Is he happy, in a happy place? Is he ready for this kind of discussion? Is he, maybe, for instance, is he broke and you're talking about how that bill needs to be paid? Man, you need to be sensitive about certain things, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The right timing is very important.
Very, very important. Okay, so I hope this helps you. Another time, I think I'll bring you for another discussion very soon. On something, talking about something more that will help couples to actually have a better communication and a better relationship.
You be paying consultancy fee then, and you know the currency, right?
I do. All right, you have a good day.
Yeah,
Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Please purchase a copy of my ebooks, Wisdom the Sweetness of Your Marriage. It is a very practical book loaded with things to guide you on how to examine your marriage, case studies for you to understand things that are being taught, stories to also strengthen your knowledge as well. It has loads of Bible verses for people that are Bible believers, and it is for people that are seeking to improve their marriage, resolve conflict, and for pre-marriage counseling. This book is above 150 pages. It's not like your regular ebook. If you want a copy, follow the link and purchase yours now. You can also follow me on my social media handles. Thank you so much for watching to the very end. Please take out the time to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Till I come your way next time. Bye.